Hey yo, what is up guys? It's me, Anime Sage, here with another video. Now this time we're going to be reading a special story. A story called One Piece, The Seven Go. Now let's start. The restart. The world of One Piece was changed. It all started with the person that was the farthest to be named the ultimate superpower of the world. The farthest from being feared worse than even the Yonko. It all started when the pirate was the most open. A terrible confusion weakened his heart, and the young adventurer for the first time felt lost. Betrayal, that was the best word to put it. The betrayal that burned his heart and made it fragile. Worse to him, a tragedy struck at the last nerve of Straw Hat Luffy. It corrupted his will. His good soul vanished, and something else took advantage. Luffy did not even realize he was gone as he transmuted into a new being, in essence turned into a monster, a devil fruit that evolved to a point that should have never been possible. Through a myriad of events, the hero became its villain, and showed the people the true nightmare of someone who had lost hope, someone that let a monster crawl out from the dark. However, his Nakama never gave up. Even when he deserted them, they followed. When he attacked them and left them defeated, they denied his rancor and followed to help him. When he created his own army and new so-called Nakama, they still followed suit, not believing that this was their former captain. When he aimed to control the world in the name of his loss and to never be weak by killing anyone who stood in his way, the Straw Hats were there to stop their captain from destroying himself and everyone else with him. Assembled into a great force, they defeated the nightmare and regained their captain. In the end, on a war-torn world with the Marines obliterated, the pirates gone, either from the living world or hiding under the terror of tyrants' rule. The Straw Hats unknowingly gave way for the new nation that was able to take down the ranks of Luffy's vengeful battalion and turn him back the way he was, human. So this grand fleet became a new world superpower. Even though he had committed crimes against humanity, they were forgiven, as the culprit was not him, but the side hidden within. Some disagreed, others believed it as now. Others believed it as now he worked to protect the humans he once wanted to destroy alongside his Nakama. But with the dawn of a new world from the old one remained the force of the world government, those of the noblest blood that still believed they should rule. The new nation led by former revolutionaries, pirates/friends that fought alongside the Straw Hats, and former Marines that wanted to unite the world into one called it Atlantis. They did not let them grow as they pleased, knowing they would try to enact their own ways of slavery, hierarchy, and fought back their forces. The Straw Hats joined and fought them as well, until it was only a matter of time before they fell. The last push was on the New World. Luffy fought against the new government with everything he had named One World Union, planning a strategic takedown once and for all by attacking their headquarters while developing the final hit to overthrow the new Tenryubito. But an enemy commander named Undefined, due to his devil ability scrambling Luffy's head, gave the final hit before he died, causing a chain of events that resulted in sending Luffy to his childhood days after being handed the Straw Hat by his pirate idol, Akagami Shanks. With a power that was hidden from the world for a long time, this became a new beginning to undo the war-torn future. This is his new second chance. Luffy opened his eyes in shock, realizing that he had been fighting alongside his crew, and it was already dusk, showing the sparkling horizon. It didn't add up, and it soured his mouth. Panting from the exhaustion, he felt all lax and he felt all laxed in a strange tranquility. Without his scars or anything he was wearing at the time, fighting with that time guy, as he called him, that he did not notice from the overwhelming doubts he had. What happened? Where am I? Guys, Looking around where he lay, he saw the ocean in front, with the forest behind, making him think of one place. Fuchsia Village? Standing up, Luffy noticed his height to be less than 3 feet. Beginning to inspect what was happening, looking to his hands and body proportions, he realized he was a kid once again. So I'm a child again. Meaning that, man, what's his name? Well, he sent me back using his time powers, sending me back, huh? At first he freaked out and began to overthink how to fix this. How can I go back? What can I do here? Think. Luffy shut down and remembered their meeting with his alliance before attacking. Robin said that the devil fruit he had he had was broken beyond belief, too, too powerful to even reverse its effects. Unwillingly, he took in those words and gave up on returning back to his time. Then an idea ticked him. He thought to how he could change this when he realized the adventures of his time reroll. He grinned. I can once again train, as well as save those who died. I can save Ace. I can change the history that has happened. Jumping in joy, throwing out the possibility to fix this trouble. I can be stronger for my friends, my family. Little Luffy went back to thinking all he could do with his free time as a child. Perfect his moves, and add new ones to make him unstoppable, even to the Gorosei that he had a hard time fighting one by one. Now he could grow strong enough to fight them all at once. He left the hill he was in and skipped back to Makino's bar to see them once again. His heart will burst in happiness from having this chance. No one had to die anymore. He will make sure that his new life began exactly like he remembered. Luffy did not change anything in his childhood, going through it like an exact replay, hiding his true powers from his brothers and family, waiting the day they parted so he could train with them, making himself look the weakest of the trio to not give them a hint of him being stronger. One day he had the chance to ask his grandpa for training on the six powers in hockey, which was a million times worse compared to Rayleigh's regiment doing all that in Marineford for a year to train the skills, which he did not tell Ace or Sabo, leaving them with doubts to what he did in that absence. History played as it had, training alongside his brothers, making the sake exchangement, fighting Blue Jam, the terminal fire, Sabo's death, and Ace's departure to be a pirate to finally leave Luffy the remaining 3 years to perfect his ultimate moves. Each day he practiced all his forms except for ascending gear. He did not like to even mention, but eventually he knew that form must be practiced on. Ha! Damn! This young body causes me too much strain, giving me limited time. Let's try this again. Luffy stood up straight to try again his forms. Gear second, disappearing from the unbelievable speed, leaving a speed trail of pink-red. He began to punch randomly with his jet moves, causing utter imploding of nature, and leaving debris on his path, moving to another part of the island, having homemade targets deployed in masses. Gear third. Changing gears, he inflated his left arm, passing the air to his right. Gumu no! Giant pistol! Hitting the dummies, which became nothing but flower dust, filling the impact crater, pushing with his giant arm to the left towards a boulder. Gumu no! Giant red hawk! The rock burst into flames, creating a massive mist of gray ash to burst the opposite side, hitting trees, igniting them. Yet he disengaged the inflation to release the air in a compressed rocket towards the air, where he hardens his left arm with hockey. Gear fourth, pumping air into his arm, expanding his body altogether, along creating a red aura outlining his body that was being enveloped by hockey that started to form the tattoos all around his body, completing the battle-ready transition. Bound man. Bound. Luffy was now feeling the strain of using consecutively the power-ups. That was not such a good idea. Yet, due to him being 14 years old, it was very impressive. I have more control here than when I was in Usukaina. Even way better than fighting Mingo. Using elasticity to stay airborne, he began to charge up. Now, Luffy bounced off the air, heading closer to land. Gomu Gomino! His fists retracted before forming into a spring. Kongun! A sea king surfaced to take a bite, but was beheaded and turned into a red mush, staining the ocean near the island, along leaving a crater flooding in with the pushed out water filling in the sea king's grave. Luffy flew at high speeds above miles of the velocity of Kizaru that he was proud of, but still it would be nothing to someone like Akainu. He ignored the thought as he had another form to practice. He wasted no more time and put all his might on the spring action to his legs. Gomu Gomu no Rhino Schneider! He left from human sight, just being a speck up above in the blue sky. Luffy deflated into his normal state, surfing upwards from the magnitude of the Schneider propulsion. Luffy crossed his arms into an X, while taking in a breath, closing his eyes. Gear. Through his mind, he remembered the flaws he had and those that he committed. The countless times he almost lost his friends, and at the hands of the Marines and pirates alike, the death of Ace, it overplayed like a twisted DVD that made him convulse in rage. Then it showed the biggest failure he had ever done in his life, the death of Ace. This automatically made him open his eyes, glowing orange-red tint. The words activated a silver-gray shockwave that stopped the channeled momentum, evolving Luffy into a ball of steam that revolved in irregular steam current patterns. Awakening. The smoke spirit dissipated, showing a humanoid persona having obsidian haki imbued limbs, forming tribal tattoos, haki outlined muscle, gray skin that resembled a corpse, an outlined dagger like enclosing his eyes that glowed a menacing stare, and the straw hat changed in color into black jet black with his red ribbon pulsating a neon violet red. This phase is powerful, but in my present body condition, I can't move or dodge, just block and attack. Kinda like Mingo, who could not dodge any of my attacks, only block with his awakened Devil Fruit ability. Descending down, he pointed to the island's collateral damage and flicked his hands, transforming them into giant rubber stands that were forming a hand to catch it from his descent. Okay, now. He began to create an array of masses that stuck up the ground, forming clones of himself. With just lifting an arm that began to form a phalanx around the true Straw Hat Captain. Rubber Ganger! Extending his arms, he shifted his head upwards. Kamikaze! The clones used Suru spreading all over the sky, exploding one by one, forming back to its previous state of matter, leaving a mess all over the island while the spot where Luffy stood remained in an orange rubber state, with the fallen pieces once again becoming the rubble they once were. Okay, I have complete control over Fifth's power along manipulating non-seeable places with my observation haki, allowing me to create sneak attacks, and so much more. Still, it weakens me. Putting aside this thought, he reverted back to his normal self to start the least favorable and strongest technique that almost made him commit the worst crime any pirate could do: kill his own crew. That almost dominated the entire world in death. He truly despised the power-up so heartily that the thought that it still coursed in his veins sickened him. To put one's humanity aside and let the devil emerge using your body as a vessel, while directing it with your will, I must stay within the horrendous form. You can do this, body, he sounded off, sending a giant spherical EMP field. Luffy struggled with his final transmutation to maintain his one humanity while becoming a monster. He visualized in his mind the mental break he suffered during his other timeline that shattered him into the beast dubbed Gear 6. with the memories flowing, the pain inside his mind, opening terrible sealed scars of his past. Wrath overcame his senses, and quickly felt the demon's aura increase its haki. He steadily opened his eyes, bit by bit, that glowed a crimson red with a beating black pupil that was outlined by haki. His hair changing to a dirty white, his clothes losing their vibrant colors to fade into worn-out garments. His body was soon being enveloped by rubber strands of his awakened ability, forming a 10-meter rippling monster, with his form discolored, ripped clothes resembling more like armor with protruding spikes suiting the monster, bulging limbs with veins spreading yellow neon blood, gray-black skin capable to tank cannons with ease, claws and talons capable to tear battleships in half with one sweep, jaws that enveloped half of his face that stayed in a lunatic grin, spreading from ear to ear, literally, in a spiked mask that made his hellish rubber flesh infused in hockey that covered his upper half of his face, eyes and nose, with the eyes still glowing through the mask, emitting a killer instinct of mayhem. Gear 6th. This this caused the whole area to quake, causing small tremors to hit neighboring islands, shook the island's mountains, and left secondary disasters. Out of his call but it did not disturb the Fuchsia Island, showing the great control Luffy had in his Colossus phase. Gumu Ukuma. Animals ran as far as possible, leaving the weak ones open to predators, but the hunters ran alongside them, wanting to run away from that thing, never looking back. Luffy observed his surroundings in his new field of vision, then gazed at his monster hand. This form is pure evil. The devil fruit manifests itself to unleash massacre on the world. He speaks to me, wanting freedom, but it's my body, buddy, so you better start listening to me, speaking out loud in a booming demonic voice. He will listen or left prisoner inside me until I die. Everything he had in his arsenal stepped up by levels, including his hockey sensing all of East Blue's auras. Then he sensed Makino coming his way, a few meters away from the village while he stood on the opposite outer edge of the island. She's looking for me. Luffy de-transformed to meet her and prevent her from taking no other step in search for him. That when he got there, she jumped from the scare. Luffy, be careful next time. You scared me. Luffy laughed a little. Sorry, so why did you call me? She looked happy at him. Dinner is ready. Dinner's ready. This fueled Luffy with enough strength to run to her tavern. Yahoo! Mikino yelled at him to stop, but he can't wait. He can wait to eat to the dinner table. Alright guys, that was part 1. Now let me go to part 2 real quick. Oh, we was that recording the whole time? Well, womp womp. Okay guys, next part, setting sail. The 3 years went faster than expected. Well, hold up. Just so you know, the writer of the story, Arata Archer, at Vegito1308. Man, this man, he did good. Alright, now let's bring it back into this. Setting sail. The 3 years went faster than expected. Even though it was all just a rerun for Luffy, he enjoyed his childhood and kept an eye out as he was watching his own growth in Fuchsia Village. But still, as time affected his state and his powers, he found out that there was enough time to train his gears, or some of the gears, and finally, as he began to grow in an adolescent, he slowly controlled the voice that prevented Luffy from using the abominable Gear 6, now available in full human autonomous control to any future rash emergency situations like facing against the animals and beyond. But thanks to boring meditation and test runs, his body potential was now at its fullest, ready to take on the Grand Line. However, before he set to the Grand Line, he had to gather the starting crew, leading to later on find the rest and create once again the infamous Straw Hat Pirates. His true treasure in the sea. The day came like a flicker, and the friends of Luffy were at the bay to wish him the best as he sailed to sea. Preparing to leave, Luffy waved goodbye to the Fuchsia village. The mayor, Mikino, and Dadan, plus the mountain bandits who took care of him with all the above shedding a few tears, yet happy to know the kid was living to accomplish his dream. However, Donna and her gang were hidden in the bushes, just like the last time, as not to cause a misunderstanding. Setting sail to the ocean to create the Straw Hat Pirates and experience new adventures, he recalled all his greatest times with his Nakama, from the good ones to the worst ones. From the good to the worst of his memories, he laughed, knowing this time around a lot of things would change. He was stronger, so fate had to literally face him. He was stronger, so fate had to literally face him, as he had the muscle to face anyone, which got him thinking, what else could change this time around? His grin widened to the possibilities he could unlock. I can prepare more allies when the time comes to take down the world government and he was interrupted as a low growl vibrated to the top of the sea. The raft shook when suddenly the resident village sea king arose to take a bite out of the wobbling raft, pumping Luffy to use one of his strongest hits. The merman looked upon him and growled internally as he realized that this thing may be the resident monster, but he did not have any importance in protecting the village, so he could send it off back to where it should be. He told himself and stomped the raft. He told himself and stomped the raft to a halt as he looked up upon the beast with a hidden glare. Gear forth, right arm. Biting into his hockey-hardened right forearm, it grew from the pumping air, but remained solely in that arm, compressing itself to form the tribal tattoos on said limb, including the shading around Luffy's eyes that made the Sea King stare paralyzed by the humongous presence right into the eyes of the rubber human, like a reindeer caught in headlights. Gomu no! Retracting his arm at hyper-reaction velocity like if time stopped, he aimed at the Sea King. Klangun! He roared and struck the beast head-on. Its head got crushed, but the speed made it impossible for anyone to see the damage he caused as it flew away. The attack sent the monster airborne to another island, or possibly back to an island in the Grand Line at incredible speeds up to the sky. As they came close back to a different landmass, the Mach speeds crash landed it and tore the beast throughout the land as if he was crushed. When the remains just skidded in the water, finally submerging into the ocean where no one could see, as it went beyond the sight to any person to see, the vanishing monster that was sent packing left the whole Fuchsia village's mouth agape through the monstrous feat Luffy did. See you guys. I'll write letters if I can later, he told them. He started rowing faster than they could make out, still not recovering from the surprising attack he performed on the Sea King. Be careful, Luffy. Mikino waved as she acted strong. He was like a child to her after all. She, along the rest of the villagers, said their final farewells before going back to the town, resuming the day. Now, all they had to do was wait and hear of the mischief that Luffy would certainly cause. Nikita was more than ready to having brought a scrapbook so she could record all the water posters for him and his friends that he would surely bring along to his adventure. Moments later, Luffy went through a whirlpool that destroyed the raft, making Luffy one more time go inside a barrel, waiting until one of Alfreda's men picked the barrel out of the water to which they did moments later, thinking it was adrift rations. Instead, the guy received a punch to the face, knocking out the guy while Kobe watched Luffy just casually ask him where he was. Feeding Luffy from the sword's food, they began talking about their dreams. One day I wished to be a marine admiral to take down pirates, but instead I'm so weak I was forced to be a chore boy under Alvida's care. Luffy heard more things he said that made him remember the future he came from, having flashbacks of how Vice Admiral Kobe, along other great marine/pirate friends he had, tried to stop his rampage from killing his crew. Never again shall I lose my humanity to him, ever. Repressing the memory, then why don't you fight your way to be an admiral, Kobe? Kobe stared. Don't stop because it seems impossible. Go for it. I'll be the king of the pirates, and one day I'll face Admiral Kobe. Promise me this, and we will meet at the top, Kobe. To this, Kobe answered, I will be a marine admiral. Cut short due to Alvina coming in here and the whole thing. Oh boy, this is boring, Luffy thought, as once more he went through the motions, fighting her lackeys, showing them his basic moves, and defeating Alvina by sending her soaring above the sea towards a faraway island to where she would find her devil fruit. Going back to the story, the Marines were coming aboard the ship. Oh no! If the Marines see me here, my dream will die before it even started. Kobe panicked, running around in circles until Luffy grabbed him, putting themselves on an escape raft that splashed down where Nami was salvaging the treasure she had found to her boat. But feeling the splash from the other raft caused young Nami to stare at Luffy. In the moment of time, Luffy felt the connection they had as brief as it was, and how sudden it happened. This little encounter sealed their fates together. Like a zing, it snared Luffy to Nami forever. Nami, we'll meet later on. This time my powers will be used to protect you, not harm you. He goofily smiled at her while grabbing the rose to start rowing as fast as possible, heading to get the first mate, power hunter Roman Zoro. Heading out to the sea, Luffy just drifted out into subconscious while speeding the raft towards the marine base, holding Zoro as his first mate. And tight-lipped man, Luffy struggled if to tell him the truth. Should he know the full story, or wait till I get everyone to tell them in one go? His second in command was always serious, especially in keeping secrets. Yeah, why not? Plus, he needs to become stronger to be the greatest swordsman in the world. Luffy made that decision in a flash, thanks to Kobe's yapping about being close, which he just bonked him on the head, earning a weak yelps out of him. Going into town, they soon found the pirate hunter bound to a wooden post as if crucified. Seeing the little girl being thrown over by the onion guy, hearing the story of how Zoro got into the mess, and finally the true intentions the Marines had in stoke for the pirate hunter. Yosh, then let's settle this. It's settled. Let's save Zoro so he can join me. Kobe wanted to object to the plan, but knowing he gave up on his explanation, headed to the marine base. Zoro, taking in the scorching heat of the sun, was deep in thought. I'm sorry, Kuina. He heard footsteps coming towards him. His heart calmed down even further, sensing a familiar aura of death loom over him. I guess that this is it, Zoro grimly thought. Opening his eyes slowly, he was met by not what his gut told him. A young boy with a straw hat stood in front of him. This irritated the swordsman. What the hell are you doing here? Luffy just smiled at his serious, scared, funny reaction to his sudden appearance. That brought him to relive the moments they had together as pirates. Hey, Zoro, I want you to join my crew. Zoro's sweat dropped. No, at this. Luffy smiled creepily. Oh, come on. We can follow our dreams as we like and drink sake without worry. Luffy attempted his first maneuver to convince Zoro. I said no, the swordsman restated. Luffy pouted. What about your dream? My guess is that you aim to be the greatest in swordsmanship, right? Then follow me, and let's find our freedom in this world. Zoro this time spit at Luffy's feet. Pirates are no good stealers and murderers. I would never turn evil, even if the world hated me. Plus, you are really asking me to join? What you really asking me to join what I hunt? What sense does that make? Zoro explained. It made Luffy's face angry, and so he wore again his cocky grin. Well, you must know I have required 3 swords from the base, wanting to return them to his master. But if he doesn't want to join me, well, Zoro was mouth gaped. Through Luffy's methods of recruitment, I guess the swords are technically mine. So see ya. He ran a few feet from Zoro until he called out, "You son of a gun!" Luffy just smiled, turning back to him. Okay then, I join you. Seeing the fact that I have nowhere to go. Nowhere to go. Plus, I have a promise to make. I join you, kid. Luffy just jumped in celebration. Yosh! Let me free you and let's go. Freeing Zoro while Kobe watched while Luffy took in bullet shots that were returned to those who shot him, leaving Zoro dumbfounded. How can you do that? Luffy answered, because I'm a rubber man. Focusing back to the battle, the fighting duo began kicking Marines' asses left and right until Captain Morgan appeared facing off the pirates. Morgan was irritated that those under his command could not could not take down the prisoner and a weak-looking pirate, to which he learned the hard way that they were not. Luffy told Zoro not move, instead to watch him fight. You think you could beat me, wimp? Luffy just prepared his arm, extending it almost to touch the far end of the wall, to which it was hardening. Gomu Gomu no! The fist started to ignite, amusing everyone except Morgan, who was already charging head on. Red Hawk! The strike causing a fiery explosion to go off his back, sending him flying, knocking down Morgan into his statue. One hit, and the marine was down for the count, earning cries of joy from those who watched. The villagers treated the pirates and Kobe with meals, thanking them from liberating the corrupted town with Morgan's rule. Zoro remained silent, looking at Luffy with suspicion. With suspicion, how strong is he? But was dis- but was disturbed with the marine requesting them to leave the town in peace, which Luffy agreed, making Zoro follow his captain. When, hey, isn't he a part of your crew? The marine leader looked at Kobe, to which Luffy answered, no, he's just a kid who followed me. Then Kobe added, sir, I want to join the Marines as it has been my dream to be one since I was a kid. He saluted, being talked to about tearing down his request. Facing the leader. Facing the leader, being talked to about turning down his request. Please, sir, I want to uphold true justice to put scum like Morgan to pay for their consequences. To this, the leader answered, very well, then, but you gotta start from the bottom as well as we did. As we all did. Kobe smiled now, officially being a Marine, chore boy, without needing to perform a needless fight like the other timeline. Leaving towards a boat sent to them by the Marines who were still waiting there to salute them off off to a safe journey. Huh, damn, we saluted towards a starting pirate crew. For that we have 3 days without eating, man. Kobe and the rest of the soldiers sounded off to the order given while seeing Luffy off. I'll see you, Luffy, when I'm stronger. He made a promise to be stronger along Hamapu to become one day his dream position. Luffy and Zoro headed to the next island. Thought the captain knew what came up next. Off to the navigator. Damn, these chapters are pretty quick to knock off. Alright, I'm gonna do one more. Alright. I think I'm gonna do Flames of the Sun God next. Well, alright. Finding Nami. Following the wind, Luffy knew he was heading the right direction to find his next Nakama. Focusing his mind on the trail rather on his stomach, he imagined Nami's young face and her matured version to soothe his rumbling gut. But he was hungry from a long time. They had sailing the ocean with no sign of land, and it worsened while thinking about stupid seagulls and the giant ass bird that in this timeline did not appear. How I wish to see that bastard bird, he drew it. Imagining to eat the roasted bird by his red hawk. A little bit more, just hold on. Gah! The young pirate yearned for some type of food as he felt his body desire to eat self. To have at least something to chew on. Zoro, on the other hand, was silent but not sleeping. He was observing his new captain and just had many questions to ask his new captain, who apparently can light up his arms in flames and cause one heck of a fucking punch. Luffy, I want to talk. To this, Luffy turned to the swordsman. Okay, axe away. Zoro took in a breath, starting the conversation. What the hell are you? Zoro asked in a straight face. Luffy tilted his head and laughed. I'm a devil fruit user, a rubber human, Luffy goofily said. Zoro nodded. Now someone believing in the devil fruit myths may not be tattletales. Alright, the next question. How strong are you? Because I can tell you were just showing off that fire fist and dodging blades like a child on Christmas. Zoro asked, which met Luffy's fast answer. He looked at Zoro in a dumb mode. Okay, in short, before going into specifics, an admiral is nothing against me at full power. Zoro's jaw hit the floor of the raft. What is wrong with you? What is that? What, what is that wrong? Luffy said sarcastically to his amused friend. No, it's just, well, see if it's true, Zoro mumbled and went to take a nap, which made Luffy laugh. That he did not believe him, but continued the silent journey until they heard a bird above. Finally, food! Luffy screeched and went for the flying meal, only to end up caught in the bird's beak, taking him closer to the village. Zoro freaked the fuck out and, and followed from the ocean, rowing like crazy, which later on he got help from guys of Boogie's crew that came from the water, thanks to none other than the infamous young Nami. Back on land, Luffy took down the bird by using Ganther's Gomu Gomu no Fusen, which liberated him from the beak of said bird. Then falling where Nami was running from the henchmen of Buggy that wanted to catch her, or possibly kill her, for taking the treasure map. Luffy made a small crater in but like nothing, he shrugged it off and jumped back up, stopping the small group of pirates and his future navigator. Luffy walks happily to Nami, which she took for the opportunity to blame him. Hey, thanks, boss. Now take care of them. She posed like a fangirl while saying her things, then running away, leaving Luffy to face her persecutors. She's running away. One of the thugs proclaimed, being elbowed by by the one standing in the middle. Don't matter, we have our boss right here. They begin to take a step forward until Luffy used his conqueror's hockey, knocking them out cold. This is getting boring. The East Blue rumor of being the weakest is very true, but I want to go all out. He kicked his feet while pouting about the weak enemies he had to face when Nami appeared on the rooftop. What did you do to them? Looking at her, Luffy began to be flooded by guilt regarding his past life breakdown. Even here, he still felt that little itching feeling to be by her. How did I ever let that thing hurt her? He began to clench his fist, but snapped off it to answer Nami in less than a second after she asked. I just incapacitated them with hockey. She absolutely did not understand a thing. Whatever. What are you doing here? Luffy tried to explain when his stomach grumbled. Ah, damn it, I'm hungry. Holding his stomach and almost falling over from the weak state he was, Nami saw him hunch over from the apparent hunger he had. She felt that the right thing to do was at least feed her savior, who fell out of the sky. Follow me, I'll make you something to eat. Name a monkey D. Luffy, and I'm gonna be the pirate king. His reply sent a huge hockey wave that spread on the island, knocking out all those weak-willed villagers, but bringing a mad face to Nami. The comment did piss her off. I hate pirates. Pushing herself to the other wall to ignore Luffy, the captain be left let her be for a moment. Nami really is mean with pirates, isn't she? Well, whatever. When she is ready, she will tell me. Now, now he unknowingly started to look at her body. Still, you are quite the. Wait, stop looking. Mentally punching himself, put. He began to talk to her, putting away his perverted thoughts, courtesy of Sanji. Why do you hate pirates? Just because most pirates do horrible things? It isn't. It isn't a reason to hate all pirates. Sadly, they make up the majority, but the stronger ones are true pirates. People should look up to. She stayed silent, hearing Luffy. Let me show you. We are temporary navigators and experience the adventures we have. Nami turned into his direction with an intense hate in her eyes. I don't trust you. Why should I follow a pirate? Luffy was offended by the words, but held strong, because I can show you what life is like, what life is meant to be, from free from being enslaved from rules or people, to follow one's dream to the fullest. She grinned a little, thinking he was way too naive, but his speech did mellow the anger she had a minute ago. Okay, I guess I can get some help. I guess I can get some help. Can you? Luffy was not dumb and saw her mischievous face. He pouted, seeing the end of a rope sticking out of her head. No. Instead of being tied, I have a better plan. Nami jumped away from him, seeing her plan was visible to him. How did he know? What? I would never do such a thing like that. Nami bit her thumb and had a small blush to further amplify her cuteness and innocence. Luffy just looked dolefully. She puffed her cheek out in surrender, watching him be so serious. Okay, you win then. Luffy grinned again. So my plan is simple. Hide while I kick their butts, and once I'm done, you can come to collect the treasures he has. So I ask you. Luffy shook himself clean. Want to be my navigator for a while? Nami thought about it, but decided sticking to him was better than being a lone wolf. Plus, he did make sense if he was. Plus, he did make sense if it did make sense if he was really as strong as he was implying. You got it. Slapping hands together, securing the bond. Before we go, I gotta find Zoro. He's by Buggy's place here. Kneeling down to his right knee, get on my back. Nami thought, get on his back with doubts about the pirate, judging him as an evil pirate teenager. She just threw those thoughts away and did what she was told. Hoisted, Luffy stood up and secured her while opening the door of the building. They were they were and rocketing out the roof of another building, housing the buggy pirates, with Nami screaming all the way, getting their attention. Plus Zoro's. The swordsman was relieved. There's that idiot. Hey, Luffy! He screamed to his descending captain. Yo, Zoro, we gotta fight these pirates. Without so much of a breath, Zoro took his three sword to begin fighting against them, while Luffy gave his straw hat to Nami to begin the pummeling. The pirates The pirates, much like last time, heard the arrival of the young Straw Hat Pirates and presented themselves. Mostly Buggy, who bragged about who he was and the power of his buggy balls. After ticking the captain off, Luffy finally started the battle by doing a quick whip to the innocent incoming lackeys. Zoro moved to face off against Kabaji plus some lackeys, while Luffy took on the clown captain and the animal tamer Moji, with the lion Richie by his side, but scared at just looking at Luffy, sensing the powers of the pirates. Let's see how strong Buggy really is. He began walking casually towards them. What is he doing? Doesn't he see the cannon? Nami was trying to get his attention, but he just ignored her. Come on, fire that big nose. Buggy just exploded in rage. What did you say? How dare you? Fire them up. Fire them up. I mean the buckyball! He ranted as he fumed at the name confusion. I knew thinking too hard on the name. What the heck? I knew thinking of the too hard on the name will later come haunt me. Luffy's companions cringed at the cannon being lit, but none of them could do anything, awaiting to see what he would do. Fire! The cannon shot the ball, hitting to Luffy, who just easily caught the muggy ball without stopping its momentum. He let it roll and started to spin the cannonball on his fingertips like a basketball. Nami and Zoro had their jaws on the ground. The buggy pirates were even worse, with sweat just peeling off them. Luffy laughed, and using Zoro, he head towards Buggy. Here, have it back. Holding the cannonball in his hand, he threw the explosion straight. Handling the cannonball in his hand, he threw the explosion straight into Buggy's face that had his tongue tied from the shocking strength, but suddenly felt this searing pain from the point-blank hit, sending him crashing down, leaving an impact crater along the outstanding faces of everyone who watched. What? Luffy just laughed. You guys are fun to play with, he cheered, and he waited for Buggy to stand up, all bloody and weak from the hit he received. You, son of, uh. He never got to finish as Luffy released his conqueror's haki, knocking out all the stragglers, Moji and Richie, while leaving Buggy even weaker and barely able to stand. This feeling feels very familiar, like when the captain fought. Buggy recalled that power, but snapped out of it. Luffy waited until Buggy could stand up straight. Meanwhile, Nami stole their treasures in a drowsy, slow mood. What did he do? I feel like crap. Shrugging off the tiredness to continue stealing, Zoro, on the other hand, finished Kabaji a long time ago with his onigiri, and went back to see his captain finish off the last standing enemy. I need to not mess with him, or else, he said pridefully. He shivered. Or else. Oh wait, what? He shivered thinking about his estimate he made about his strength. Buggy finally stood upright, with Luffy preparing his finishing move that both Zoro and Nami witnessed. Gomu Gomu no, going gear second, vulcanizing his extending arm as it coiled itself like a spring. Luffy's Nakama saw his limb turn an obsidian color. Rifle! Spiraling to hit Buggy, which once it struck his gut, it sounded off like a cannon, sending him flying away from the town off to the distance. They just stared dumbfounded and just accepted his strength gap. Nami, she looked at Luffy. Yes, you have the treasure? Nami nodded, which Luffy grinned. Then it's off to the next island. Skipping back to the raft they had, Zoro met with Nami, to which he was forced to help with the bags, following Luffy until they were spotted by the villagers, whom asked them if they were pirates, to which Luffy stupidly answered yes, earning the wrath of the commoners, making the Straw Hats run all the way, escaping to the raft. Beforehand, while they were running, Luffy left a bag of money so the people could rebuild the torn-down village. Without Nami or Zoro noticing, from the not wanting to be beaten by the money-loving by the navigator. I hope Nami believes in me when I tell her to trust me in beating Arlong, but I guess I need more demonstration of my power to be 100% sure. He closed his eyes, humming big sake all the way to the next village. Alright, guys, I think, you know what? Let me do one more. Going to Usopp. The next day, while waiting to reach the island with the Straw Hats, all bored until Nami got the courage to ask the man who had amazing, unbelievable strength. Hey, Luffy, can we talk? She asked quietly. Luffy was whistling, on the other hand, getting sleepy due to the food deprivation, but still managed to hear her. Yeah, Zoro closed in the conversation without being noticed, listening in while Nami asked the 1 million question. How on earth can you do that stuff? You didn't even sweat taking that pirate out with your strange ability. Now can you now how can you stretch like that? That made Luffy yawn a little bit. Okay, let me explain. Stretching his arms to sit up. When I was a kid, I ate by accident the Gomu Gomu no Mi from a pirate called Shanks. Both members who heard both members who heard from that very renowned name shivered in realization to what they thought I meant, but did not interrupt. The devil fruit, made my whole body into rubber passively, meaning I don't need to activate it or something like that. It made me rubber for the rest of my life. Period. Later on, I weaponized my powers at its maximum, making all kind of powers, including certain boosts that upgrade a certain aspect of my physique. Kinda like the steam that arose from me. It's called gear second, a process where I speed up my blood flow, going into hyper speeds that I can't show you at full because everyone's so weak in the blue sea. In the blue sea, I can beat anyone easily in the place where we are now. Luffy saw his friends blinking in amusement to his high intellect description of his abilities. But how Luffy ha- but how Luffy, how did you catch flames? It was pretty cool. If you taught me how to do that, Zoro butted in, making Nami shy a little from the East Blue demon who apparently was listening to the whole time. She hated being ignorant to information. Luffy chuckled, sorry Zoro, only through my gears and hockey can you achieve the fire. Later on, you will learn how to use hockey and other methods to use fire techniques, which I'll explain later during an actual fight, okay? They nodded, seeing an annoyed look on the captain, but better let him think his previous thoughts, or else. Zoro took a nap, respecting Luffy's space, while Nami just looked at him in great awe. Can he maybe? No, he's a good guy. I won't let him be killed for someone else's problem. It's not his business but mine to fix. She repressed the idea to tell him the truth about her money gathering wish, but the hero already seeing her trouble. Nami, please tell me. I'll have to force you to accept my help. He could clearly see her struggle, but ignored that and went again through his thoughts, getting the important world changing news out of his time. As far as time goes, there's no sign of Blackbeard. Everything's normal until I defeat Crocodile, is when the tides change, setting off all kinds of changes. Luffy presumed, still feeling uneasy with the time flow. He had a sour taste that something would be off in this time. Just about how he was gonna try and get another nap. He then heard the voice of his final gear more clear than the church bell on a sunny day. Find, kill, curl, hit. Luffy then stood up abruptly, suppressing a shudder from the negative side that wanted to be free to search for Blackbeard and kill him now. My friends come first. Do I make myself clear? You think? The negative part of him just laughed, descending into Luffy's subconscious until the echo disappeared, setting him to a quick short nap. Moments later, they were reaching the next island shore. Luffy, wake up! We're here! He stood up faster than she expected him to respond. Yeah, yeah, adventure! Zoro woke up to his yelling, Oi, let me sleep. He went back to sleep, causing Luffy to grab him by the shirt, throw him under the water, and put him back on the raft with one arm. Wake up, Zoro! Luffy screamed to his face, making Nami laugh uncontrollably to Luffy's childish behavior, using a wake-up call that effective that it left a shivering Zoro dumbfounded. Shh, you, bastard! Freezing from the water, he tried to hit him, but the air just made him wrap his arms around to get warm. After docking their raft, they looked around their surroundings, but hold it there, pirates! They looked up to see Usopp standing in a power stance pose. This village is under my protection. If you don't leave at once, my 8,000 men will be forced to exile. Luffy ignored the rest, already knowing the lie he told almost every enemy they encountered. That brought him to realize how far he has changed throughout the time they spent as a crew. An everyday wannabe pirate, lying coward that morphed into a legendary sniper pirate. A man he cut an arm off. Zooming out of his brain. Oh, that's kind of crazy. Zooming out of his brain, he heard Nami guessing his number of crewmates. Once they were discovered, they ran, leaving Captain Usopp alone. Still, I will protect this island with or without lies. This is why Luffy respected him, because he knew the times to fight and flee, even though he had nothing to prove. Calm down, Usopp, so he asked Sop, am I right? He saw his startled look, knowing his father, making Luffy grin even further. You know my dad? Luffy grinned. Of course, he was with Shank's crew in my hometown. From then on, Luffy and Usopp started forming a friendship to tell to tail, telling making to tail tell, to tail, telling making to tail telling, making the rest of his crew members see the dumb and fun side of their captain, joining in the conversation, making themselves acquainted in the village's restaurant. There they had a good and great meal instead of semi-made fish they caught along the way. Now getting back to business, do you know where we can get a ship? Usopp Nami slapped the desk and asked, receiving a nod from Usopp. No, we don't have a decent harbor, as you have seen. Zoro interrupted them, then pointed out the White House on top of the hill before Usopp could explain. How about the mansions over at the top of the being cut off with Usopp's uneasy reaction. No, don't go there. Sorry guys, I. Okay. The bill is on me. He skidded off to the door, going out the restaurant, from which moments later the kids from Usopp's crew returned, seeing the pirates sitting down and really fat. Luffy commented on the food quality. We're the Usopp pirates. What have you done to him? They yelled while holding fake knives, which when they suddenly got a frightening conclusion. Ah, so good, said Luffy, tapping his bloated stomach, scaring the kids further. Your captain, Zoro whispered, was eaten. The kids, upon hearing this, started screaming turning slowly to Nami. Why are you looking at me? Nami yelled, earning laughs from Luffy and Zoro about the kids' reaction towards Nami, hitting both behind the back of the head to shut them up. A while later, heading towards the mansion, Luffy propelled his crewmates with a Gumi Gumi no rocket, landing them straight on the roof, earning a scream from Kaya and Usopp from the sudden inbreak of random people. Usopp, who are they? Kaya pointed towards them, looking at Usopp. They are some friends I met. Following the mainstream timeline, the group talked about getting help to have a ship, meeting the butler Kuro. Kuro, Kuro. Luffy cursed that name, but yet felt he owed the guy. Getting kicked out of the mansion, Usopp stating his dream, and finally learned about the truth of Kuro, who was planning to take out Kaya to achieve her fortune, waiting, waiting to live a normal life, waiting to live a normal life, wanting to live a normal life out of the piracy that Luffy heard hidden in the bushes, to which he told everyone in his crew, prompting them to plan out the attack. But this time he made them put the traps in the right side of the island to affect the pirates. Plus, Luffy was not going to help under any circumstances unless a real emergency happens. Standing the battlefield, Zoro took this time they had of use, wanting to talk to Luffy. Hey, Captain, so what else can you do aside exploding into flames? Usopp took note of on this exploding into flames. On the other hand, Nami too was interested in this man's potential that could help her someday. Possibly, maybe. Luffy yawned from the boredness of preparing a plan.